Yo, and how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Game and Apple. So today we are showcasing the STAMPLAR build for Open World Cyrodiil in the Flames Foundation patch, meaning no proc sets whatsoever. In this video, I'm going to go obviously over all my gear, CP, skills, all that good stuff, but then I'm also going to go through some tips and tricks for you guys, and also how I've come to make this build. So my build process, I'm going to get really in depth of how this build works and how you can change it to kind of suit your playstyle and where there's openings. Without any further ado, let's get right into the attributes and the main stats. So we got nearly 16k magic, 27.5k health, 20 and nearly 27.5k stamina, 1.1k magic recovery, really nice. The magic recovery and the max magic is important for this build, this patch. Then we've got 1k health recovery, not so important, but it's nice to have it there. And then nearly 2k stam recovery with a decent amount of weapon damage, back bar, 23% crit, no penetration really. 20k spell resistance, 17k physical, and 3.2 crit resistance. Now, if I buff up, I will show you. I'll step off the rune as well, guys, so I'm not getting the extra resistances from the rune. Yeah, okay. So back bar, we then go up to 2.6k stamina recovery, 5.1k weapon damage, 28, well, nearly 29,000 physical, 26.3 spell. Put that back down, and then still nearly 3.2k critical. And then on the back bar, I'll step out the rune again. Okay, so on the back bar, we are nearly 6k weapon, that's basically 6k weapon damage, 35.4% crit, over 8k pen, 23k spell, and then 25.6k physical resistance with 2.6k crit resistance. 64 points into stamina. Now, the way I've worked this is I've got all tri-stat glyphs. So say if you want a bit less health and a bit less magic and a bit more stam, you can, put a stamina glyph on instead. But we are really cut short for resources in this build, so I've had to mid-max it. So putting all tri-stat glyphs on and then going 64 points into the stamina was the best outcome for this build. That's because we've gone for the smoke spare haunch, I said that right, smoke spare haunch food, which gives us max health, stamina, magic, and health recovery. Now, because there's no proc sets allowed, stuff like Eternal Vigor, Engine Guardian, like sustain sets, something that can be used to thoroughly sustain everything in just one nice set, we don't really have that. I mean, there is, what is the set called? It's Shacklebreaker, that's it. I could have gone for Shacklebreaker, but we are a Khajiit and I wanted crit chance. So the way I've worked it is going for the tri-recoveries, tri-stats, and then high crit. So this food was definitely best in slot. Then we got the Serpent Mundus Stone. I tried the, because we're a Khajiit, I did try the crit damage, crit healing Mundus, but the stam recovery Mundus was far better. So we went for that. Because the amount I had to sacrifice, like damage wise, I had to sacrifice in my other sets and stuff to make up for the 310 stamina recovery wasn't worth just not running it here, so definitely Serpent Mundus Stone. Okay. Right, then for the gear. So on the back bar we're running Critical Riposte. I'm sure this is no surprise. Basically it just gives us 424 critical resistance on our back bar, which is really nice. With Impen, I haven't actually put an enchant on this. Put a health enchant. I didn't put it on just because I don't like my I didn't want my health fluctuating up and down. I think I was just a bit lazy. But yeah, I just put a health enchant here. There's no point stamina or magic. And then I just chucked the poison on. Spriggan's front bar, Spriggan's sword in sharpened with a weapon damage enchant. That is how you get your most damage. You actually could go for a maul in sharpened, but I wanted to stick with the sword just to make sure that my heals were stronger as well. That's the balance. That's why I didn't go for a maul sharpened for the extra pen. But yeah, that gives 2 line stamina, weapon damage, and 3.5k pen. Then we got a one-piece Balog with a one-piece Bloodspawn. So we're getting recovery and weapon damage. Now I believe on the chest is the only piece heavy, so I've got 6 medium, 1 heavy. Everything is tri-stat enchant, and then the 1 heavy piece we have gone for reinforced, and then we've gone for Hunding's Rage. So we get 2 pieces of crit chance, stamina, weapon damage. No, crit chance got nerfed a bit this patch, but that crit chance is still strong, especially as a Khajiit. That is really nice. Honestly, that just brings us up to 35.4%. So yeah, I'm not complaining about the crit that we're getting. Really upping our damage. with one piece well fitted. You could actually switch this to impen if you want. So I've gone 5 impen, 1 reinforced, 1 well fitted. You could go 6 impen, or you could go 4 impen, 2 well fitted, 1 reinforced. So there's room to play around with your playstyle there, guys. And then we got all weapon damage, infused jewelry. That is just for the best damage. For our potions, I am running these ones. Nope. These ones. So, max health, stamina, and physical resistance. Increase your physical resistance by 5.2k. So that stacks on top. That stacks on top of this 6k resistance here. And the reason why I went for the physical resistance on the pots was because we already get 2.6k spell here. So that kind of brings up the physical over the spell, but we still have got this spell resistance in our passives to work out quite nicely, which is obviously really nice. Alright, for the skills then. Yeah, well, I'll go over the skills and then I'll go over the passives in a bit. So for the skills, we're using Race Against Time, movement speed, crit damage, snare removal. It's really, really strong, and it doesn't even cost that much magic. So I really do love this skill, especially on sword and board. So if I was on a two-hand dual wield, I would use the blade cloak for the speed with extended ritual as my snare removal, so I get major evasion as well. Or if I was on bow, I'd use shuffle and roll dodge for the speed. But on sword and board, I do not need major evasion. Honestly, I don't feel like I need major evasion, and I'll tell you why. Because the whole point of major evasion is to reduce your damage to AoEs, right? That's just a simplistic way of looking at it. What it does is it helps control your health. So that its tool is to control your health bar, right? So when my health is fluctuating up and down, and you're putting vigors and rallies on, the major evasion without the sword and shield helps just bring it down slower in some cases. But with sword and shield, I can block, and I can do a great job of mitigating my damage, healing, cleansing. So there's no real need for the major evasion. So I put the speed here instead, just so that we can get some really nice movement speed while staying sword and board. I hope that kind of... I know some people don't like playing Stamplar without major evasion, but I hope that kind of helps you understand why it's not needed in this build setup. Okay. Then extended ritual. So already 2 magic skills, so you can already start to see why we needed a nice magic pool, why we needed the tri-stat recovery food to bring us over 1.1k recovery without tripod, because we don't use tripod. So yeah, and this is quite a hefty magic cost, 4.6k, but it's so valuable. Honestly, stamplers are a bit on the squishy side. You know, we don't have that straight up damage mitigation, percentage damage reduction, all of that. But what we do have is we have a really nice cleanse that takes 5 harmful effects off us and then heals us over time. And then whilst we stand in the effect, it gives us minor mending as well. And I will just go over this quickly. So in here, when you're standing inside your ritual, yeah. So while standing inside your ritual, cleansing ritual or rune focus, you get minor mending. So this again takes negative effects off us, heals us over time, and increases our healing done. And not only that, if I didn't want to use this can also remove my snares. So it's a really strong skill. And for me as a Stamplar, I build a Stamplar thinking about, okay, I need magic and stamina. Not like my DK where I can kind of have really low magic and get away with my stamina. No. Oh, this requires magic. You have to have a really fine line of balance between magic and stamina, because I'm not going to survive if I run out of magic. If I get stuck and I can't use Race Against Time to get away, well then I've got no speed, I might be snared, and then I can't get rid of any negative effects. Then I can't get my minor mending. You see where I'm going with this? You start to die. So even if I had full stamina, I just end up roll dodging and just perma blocking because I've got no magic to back it up. So these are really important skills and really important learning how to sustain them. I know I'm going really in depth about this, but this is a tough patch for Stamplers, and I want to help you understand the best way to keep yourself alive. And these are some really key tools, massive tools. And then obviously this, so what I like to do with this, obviously I put this down, you know, kind of just put the ruin down, put your cleanse down, buff up a little bit, and obviously I'm moving out of this. I'm not always in that ritual, but say if I get trapped in a corner, right? say if I'm really pressured and I get put back, or there's a tree here and I put myself behind here, I will stand in this room. I'll remember my ruin might be down over here, right? But I'll remember put down another ruin. If I'm going to hold my ground here, I'm going to be standing in this ruin because it does tank you up. If I'm going the back bar now and pop a potion, you can see my resistances shoot through the roof. So if I want to go super defensive, that is what I will do. Obviously, as soon as you start moving, you go out of that, you drop your resistances, but it's nice to have that there to be able to up the resistances. And I know so many people don't think you actually ever gain this resistances because you're always moving, but there are situations where it's really nice, and it's, you know, it's probably a great move to stand in the ruin. Yeah. So obviously, I know a lot of people don't stand in their ruin. It can be really strong in situations. Okay, then for Razor Caltrops. So not only when I'm VXing, right? Not only does this reduce their movement speed. So if I go through a kind of area, can I put this down? Okay, there we go. So if I'm going through an area, right, a small area, I'll put this down. That'll slow them down, right? So I can run through. This'll slow them down. I can go through here, right? This is Michelle's house. Yo, what's happening, bro? How you doing, bro? So I can slow them down, right? And then whilst doing that, reduce their resistances by 6k, which is so. Yo, what's happening, bro? Sorry. Alright, which is so important because Stamplar strives on penetration, right? Stamplar absolutely strives on penetration. That's why we've gone for Spriggans. That's why we've got the penetration from our sharpened sword. That's why we are running this for 6k pen at the bottom there. That is why we've got CP for pen, and then that is why we've got a minor fracture here for pen. We have got a load of pen. So when I really, and I mean really, want to put some pressure on somebody because we don't have a real execute on this build, I really up my pen on them and I just go ham. And that is how you kill players on a Stamplar. It really is, because jabs works best with pen, in my opinion. Obviously, you've got to have a good line of weapon damage for heals and base damage, but pen is so crucial. And then obviously vigor, not much more can be said about that. Now, temporal guard. What I will say about temporal guard is, if you don't want to run it, which is I really like to run it for the minor protection, but it is quite buggy this patch. So what you can do for this is you can put werewolf back bar. Now I don't have werewolf at the moment because I switched to vampires to try it out, and then I cleansed myself from vampires. So I don't actually have anything right now, but you can actually put you can put, what was I saying, werewolf here for the 15% extra stam recovery. And then what you would do is you would switch out this skill. So this is why I personally run it this way, because I love this skill because it fractures everybody with my jabs and the empowered sweep to do some nice AoE pressure and just see your breaks. But if you didn't want to run that, what I would do is either run the sword and shield ulti or the werewolf ulti for the stam recovery, and then run ransack. So I wouldn't run PS armor because that gives minor and major. And we still get the minor from the power of the light. So if you were to switch out power of the light and race against time, I would put on PS armor. But honestly, I put ransack. That's what I would be running. I know, again, I'm going really in depth here, but I want you guys to understand. And for the players that don't need this advice, they can just skip through and see, you know, what gear I'm running, what CP I'm running, what skills I'm running. You can see that in a few seconds. But if you guys actually want to come and learn, I hope that you're understanding this, and this is kind of helping you and broadening your horizons on how you can play Stamplar in different ways. Okay, now on the front bar. So, we are running a Camel Hunter. And Camel Hunter is so nice because it gives us 5% extra damage done to flanking enemies. And obviously you have to deal critical damage from flanking, but when you're running this, right, an AoE, and then this as an AoE, and then jabs, which is an AoE and does like loads of little hits all the time, you are proccing this constantly. So don't think about, oh, you gotta be flanking and it's only for 5 seconds. This thing is up when you're Xing, I promise you. When you are doing damage, it is there when you need it. And not only that, it means I don't have to run crit pots for my Mage Savagery, increase my critical rating by about 10%. Right, which means I can then use the physical resistance potions, making me more tanky. So this really works well on our front bar. for being a Khajiit. I'm just going to quickly go over the Khajiit passive. I keep talking about it, and you might not know what it is. So, for Khajiit, we're running the Tri food, so a Tri recovery foods. We've got all the recoveries, a bit of health. Now, this increases my health, magic, and stam recovery, so there we go. We got Tri recoveries yet again, and then we get max health, stamina, and magic. So we're getting Tri stats yet again. And then I'm getting an extra 12% crit damage and crit healing. So when I'm crit healing and doing crit damage on my front bar, I'm getting some massive rally heals because extra crit healing, and I'm getting bigger jabs, so and our bigger empowering sweep. So it really kind of merges together for an overall better defensive and offensive way of playing. However, for the majority of Stampler setups, Khajiit isn't the best in slot, but I've built around to make Khajiit the best for this particular build, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is specifically tuned for a Khajiit, which I really like. I wanted to try something different, so this has been really enjoyable for me. And then not only that, so like I was going over the Camo Hunter, but for each for each skill that we have from Fighters Guild on the bar, we get an extra 3% weapon damage. This is also giving us extra weapon damage, critical damage done by percentage, so it's a really strong skill. Okay, that's enough about Camo. That's enough about Camo Hunter. Okay, so I've already talked a bit about Power of the Light, and Power of the Light's so nice because I know it got a nerf in the past, right, but it still does Minor Breach, and they buffed Minor Breach, I think a patch or two ago. It does 3k pen. Pen is a beautiful thing on a sampler, and when we do our jabs, stun them with toppling charge, and then do empowered sweep, we got a lot of pressure going on, and this kind of does burst. This is like kind of a little execute. It's not as good as an execute, but it does work in the pressure sort of execute playstyle, which is really nice. So we get a bit of pressure, we get a kind of execute, so pressure execute, and then we get some penetration, which is really nice. Obviously, rally for the weapon damage, the heal, and then the 15% stamina recovery. Really nice overall, not going to complain about it. I personally would never be forward momentum on a Stampler. I think I got a 20k rally heal, 19k rally heal in PvP. It's stupid. I love rally. Another reason why I'm running a sword instead of a maul, because I get nicer heals. Then biting jabs, so it reduces their movement speed. I'm not really bothered about the reduced movement speed because we have this, but it does keep players nice and close. It does some really nice straight up damage, and then we get critical from activating this. So what we can do is on the back bar right doesn't have the major crit coming over, it's 23%, but when we're jabbing and then switching back and forward, you'll notice that it goes up because we get the major savagery from the jabs, so our vigor heals will be going up as well, crit healing, etc. on the back bar. So it does make the use of being a Khajiit. Alright, and then toppling charge. So this is brilliant. I've never used this before in a sampler, but I'm actually really loving it, especially because in this patch we can no longer through CP points roll dodge and avoid an enemy's attack to set them off balance, which means now that I've got no form of off balance. Now, we don't really need off balance as much this patch because you no longer get an extra 10% damage done from against attacking enemies that are off balance from the old CP, but when you medium weave, you still can stun an off balance enemy. So even if I don't stun them with this, if they're blocking, right, so even if they block this attack, they won't get stunned, but they'll still get off balance, meaning I won't need to reuse this skill. I can just medium weave them at a later date, and sometimes when they're blocking, I purposely charge at them so that I can set them off balance, and then I can medium weave into jabs to stun them at a later time. So that kind of plays with them, and you can just do some different things with off balance. And it's also a gap closer, which is so nice. We have movement speed from this, we have reduced movement speed from this against enemies, and then we have a gap closer. So overall, our movement's feeling really nice in this build. And then empowered sweep, I'm using this over Dawnbreaker this patch because it only costs 71 ultimate. It does some really nice base damage, and then for each enemy, it lasts for 6 seconds, and then does an extra 2 seconds for each enemy hit. So when I'm VXing, if I'm fighting 4 players, there's an extra 8 seconds. So I go 6 plus 8, takes up to 14 seconds, you get the point. This thing goes on for quite a bit, so I can keep a really strong uptime. And then if I kill somebody with this, so say if I use this skill, and I kill somebody, right, not only do I get it safe about 14 seconds against 4 players or so, but when you kill somebody, you get 20 ultimates. That 71 ultimate cost now goes down to 51, so you get my point. This thing stays up a lot of the time with jabs. I'm keeping that pressure high. I'm making sure that my AoE damage is good. Now, Dawnbreaker is good because it can, you know, do a bigger burst, but this thing does more pressure over time. And not only that, this patch, but they changed Burning Light. So now you have to deal damage with an Aedric Spear ability 4 times in rapid successions to deal the extra Burning Light 5k damage. Now, what this does that Dawnbreaker doesn't, this keeps dealing damage. So with jabs, with this, with toppling charge, I proc this a lot more often because the uptime on this is really strong. So if the uptime on this is really strong, the ticks are going really strong, I'm jabbing a lot, so I'm hitting this as much as possible. Which is more another reason why I've swayed towards this ultimate, this patch, rather than having Dawnbreaker. Okay. And there's another thing I wanted to say. Right. No, it wasn't that. Right. So, I get an extra 10% critical damage from being a Stamplar, or from being a Templar in general. So you get 10%, you get 12% crit damage from being a Khajiit, 10% critical damage from this, another 10% critical damage from this. We're at 32% critical damage, and then in the CP tree, I actually have an extra 10% critical damage in there. Pardon me. So we go up to 42% extra critical damage and 22% extra critical healing, which is so nice. Right. Yeah. So critical damage, penetration, weapon damage, we got it all. We got really strong pressure on this to make up for like the kind of no execute. Okay. So I feel like I've done enough talking about the skills. Let's get into the CP. Right. So we're going to go over the green tree really quickly. So like I say, a few notable points again. Put your points into here for the reduced fall damage. 35% is really nice when you're 1vxing. Then add some time to your food, so I like to do. You know, these the physical resistance potions, some can't be cheap to some people. So this is nice. So 1 in every 10 potions, they're about 10%. You don't have to consume it. Extra movement speed then when you're out of combat. And then the mount movement speed. Do what you want, but yeah. Just pointing out some of the key ones, I think, for PvP. Okay, so for my passives, what I wanted to do was, first of all, I put crit resistance, 660 crit resistance for my slottable. Then we've got an extra 10% critical damage and critical healing. That works so well with the Khajiit playstyle and being a Templar. 10%, like I said, 10% crit damage from being a Templar. Then you get 10% from the Race Against Time. Then you get 12% from Khajiit, 10% from this. You get my point. You got a lot of damage, and then 22% crit healing. Strong. Then increases your damage done with area effects by 2%. Gems is an AoE, the sweep is an AoE, then Caltrops is an AoE. So I mean, this is really upping our damage, especially for our jabs and our crescent sweep, which is nice. What was the last one? And the last one's down here. Duels for buff. Have this on nearly every single build. Well, I do actually have it on every build because it reduces the damage taken by 10% by single target abilities. This is so strong because mainly the burst abilities are single target, such as Spectral Bow, Incap, Crystal Frags, those sort of skills. So uppercut. So this really does help reduce burst coming on to you. Then what I'd say is up your stamina to max, up your bless to max, up your quick recovery to max, but up quick recovery to max before blessed, because this is healing taken, so that's healing from others and yourself, whilst blessed is just healing done, so that's only your healing. So if you're getting healed by others and yourself, this is stronger. Then I up Hardy and Elemental. Make sure these are full before going in to crit. I've only just started up this now. I know workers usually like crit, but this is really minor crit for the amount of points you get. I feel like obviously I want this, but there's more important stuff needed before putting points into this, and then obviously I want to get this done at a later date as well, but we've got enough magic as is. And then we've got the penetration. This only get this up to 30%, so I don't see the need to be full. It's a waste of points, especially when there's points that can go elsewhere. And then Mighty for the 100 extra weapon damage into our physical, poison, disease, and bleed damage effects. Then for our red tree, the main ones are to go for Juggernaut, reduce your damage taken by 10% after breaking free, or when you pop in a mobility pod, max health, max armor, and then tri-stat recoveries, again working with our tri-stat food, and then our tri-stat recoveries from Khajiit as well. So you can see how I've been building up those recoveries. Then the ones that you want to be focusing are increases movement speed by 8%. Then you want to increase your health. You also want to reduce the cost of roll dodging. You want to reduce the cost of break free. Then you want to increase the amount of damage you can block. And then stuff like reduces the cost of block, because we're already sword and shield, we have that quite reduced already. Reduces the cost of bash, we have that quite reduced. So then a negative effects we can cleanse, so we can take this off already. So the durations, if we sustain our magic well, which we do, we take care of this anyway. And then reduce the cost of sprint. I actually like this one full up, so yeah, get this one up as well. But obviously tailor this to your playstyles. Right. Okay, so I've gone over the attributes. I've gone over our Mundus stone, our food, our how I've made the build, the process I go through to come up with a build, like I said. So I start with my magic, stamina, sustain. If I can sustain my magic, stamina, how's my health doing? Can I control my health bar? If I can then control my health bar, that means my resistances are fine. Then is my damage fine? Am I killing people? If I'm not killing people, should I drop my resistances? Am I too tanky? And then if I've got too much damage, am I too squishy? Am I always on the defensive, or can I stay on the offensive? Then I look at my ability to move around, so my ability to kite, etc. So loads of different things going in there, but the trial and error obviously, but those are the key things when coming to make the Stamplar build. And obviously our heals and stuff as well. So I've gone over the gear, the skills, tried to go in depth as much as I can for you guys, but now let's go over the rotation. So for this Stamplar, what I will say is put down your ruin, put down a cleanse, maybe do a race against time just at the beginning of a fight, buff up with a rally. Then what I like to do is chuck down some cowl traps here. I'm going to go medium weave or light attack into power light, then medium weave light attack into a jab, do a couple jabs, then do a stun or just before the stun. So when I'm jabbing, maybe do a crescent sweep, stun, keep jabbing, and then try jab until that shit blows up. But honestly, the combo is pretty easy. It's a Stamplar after all. The combo isn't too hard. It's like the sustain and stuff, which is the harder part, the keeping the health bar up. But I think that wraps it up for this video, guys. I know I've gone in depth here, but honestly, I hope that you found this useful. Stamplar's hard to play this patch, and I do appreciate that for you guys. So I've tried to go through as much as possible. But without any further ado, guys, if you did enjoy this video, then please make sure to smash that like button, drop a comment, because I love to hear from you guys, and subscribe to stay updated with all my latest content here at the Gaming Apple, and to become part of the Apple Army. And then if you want to go a step further, guys, you can come and join the Discord. The link for the description down. The link for the Discord is down in the description down below. I'm building a really nice community over there, guys. I'm starting to become really proud of it. So if you want to get to know me better, come over there, and I'd love to see you there. But anyway, with you guys, I love you all, and peace out. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.